Hey there folks, John here for Biddy Kong's Quest, and today is July 4th, and even if you don't live in America, you know this is a holiday for us where we celebrate our country, and I had a really fun, kind of just silly idea for a video, and it's honestly gonna be a pretty short one, but sometimes you just need to do fun, silly videos on YouTube. And the idea is to go over every NES game with the word America or American in the title. And honestly, it's like I said, it's going to be short because there's only 3 of these, but they're all really interesting games in their own right, so let's take a look. Here we go. This is American Gladiators, and I don't own this one just because I was never really a fan of the show when it was out in the 90s or whatever. But that said, I was really impressed and really shocked at how good this game is, especially for just like a sports compilation game, especially one that's licensed and based on a show. You know, there was lots of sports compilation games in the NES's library. You know, winter games, summer games, those sorts of things come to mind. You know, even Snoopy had a sports compilation game, and this is another one. I was actually pleasantly surprised with how competent this one is. Now, the hitboxes in the jousting one are a little bit iffy, but that said, it's not just, you know, knocking the other guy off the platform. After that, you've got to jump to the next platform, and there's a lot more complexity to a lot of these games than it feels like they really had to have, which is kind of nice to see. Also, the sound effects are freaking fantastic in this game. You know, the music is pretty good too, but when somebody falls off a platform, there's this synthesized scream that's just absolutely amazing, and you gotta experience it just for that. If that's the only reason you play the game, it's totally worth it. So that said, American Gladiators, even if you don't like sports titles on the NES, I would say this one's worth a look just because it's entertaining. That's the best word I can say about this one. It is an entertaining game, so check it out. Alright, the next game that I want to talk about is one that I don't think a lot of people have heard of, but that said, this is Race America, and it is one of the most innovative racing games on the NES. It's one that came out late in the NES's life cycle, and I don't think a lot of people know about it. It's one of those ones that's a little bit more rare, but that said, it's a package unlike any other racing game that I've seen on the console's library, and races take place in 3 parts. First, you start out with this kind of drag racing segment as you kind of race off the line, and then it kind of switches to a normal, what you would consider a normal racing game on the NES, something like Outrun, where it's that behind the back view and you're just kind of driving into the distance. But that said, when you get close to your enemy, when you get close to your rival, it'll switch to a top-down view. There's a helicopter flying overhead, keeping tabs on the race, and then once you go past them, it goes back to that other view, but the screens will switch places, and whoever's in first place will get the bigger screen on top, and whoever's in second place will get the smaller screen at the bottom. So you actually are actively punished for doing poorly in the race, which I think is just absolutely crazy. And that said, it kind of goes along with this game. This is a very 90s attitude game. I mean, everything is just kind of big and in your face. When you lose, it makes fun of you by posting newspaper articles. If you run out of gas during a race, you'll get another newspaper article about how you ran out of gas during the race. It doesn't pull its punches, and I think that's really interesting because racing games can feel kind of soulless on the NES, but this has just personality in spades, and it is an extremely entertaining one to check out. So if you've never heard of Race America, I would definitely check this one out. It is again, one of the most 90s things I can imagine, but in all of the best ways. So there you go. The last game that I wanted to talk about was actually one of my favorite ones as a kid. This is Captain America and the Avengers, and there was a lot of really bad superhero games on the NES, and I'm thinking Superman, I'm thinking Spider-Man, Revenge of the Sinister Six. There's a bunch of really bad superhero games, but I'm happy to say this is not one of them. This comes from Data East, and it's got really great sprite work, it's got really great graphics, the music is really good, it's just a competent game, like it's fun to play. It's kind of hard, I don't think I ever beat this as a kid, but it is an absolutely fantastic game, and I don't know that I've actually beaten it as an adult either. Like I said, it's pretty hard, but that said, it is absolutely worth checking out and just totally different than every other superhero game on the platform because it's actually, again, competent. There's weapon upgrades, there's kind of this overworld map, kind of like Bionic Commando. There's a ton of different stuff in it, and it's absolutely worth checking out. So I'm actually going to cover this one on Sunday in another video in depth, so keep an eye out for that because it's one of the games that I'm covering there. But that said, if you haven't checked out Captain America and the Avengers, absolutely go do it. See if you can pick it up at a convention. It's totally worth it. And that'll about do it for all the games that have America or American in the title on the NES's library. And like I said, this is just a silly video idea I had just to kind of commemorate the holiday. I thought it was a fun one, and honestly, when else am I going to get a chance to talk about Race America, because that game is super obscure. But that said, you know, are there any other games that you guys like to play around the holiday? Are there any other games that kind of remind you or get you in that July 4th spirit? If they are, leave a comment down below and let me know. But all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, like, comment, and subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see you guys next time.